Reporting in progress. I got to say right up front, live from London with
Yeah.
Raj Khedun. And we've been talking for the last hour, and we're going to talk about Keep Fit Kingdom. And what Raj and I have been talking about the last hour is our. And by the way, it's July 15th. It's a Friday. And what we've been talking about for the last hour is our commonality of purpose of what we've done in our lives. I'm nowhere near Raj and what he does, and he's going to talk about that. But we've been kind of vegans for. I've been not a vegan, but I just don't eat red meat, and Raj is a vegan, and we've been talking about
Vegetarian.
that. Huh?
Vegetarian.
You're vegetarian. I'm sorry. I vegetarian, and I've been a flexitarian, which means no red meat, and how it has uh, enriched our lives and our health and
Yeah.
reading about us. But United Fit Kingdom, there's so much to unpack with Raj, and I am such a believer in his message, in
Yeah.
his method. And I mentioned that 2 nights ago I participated in a White House fact-finding conference. I was invited to go to that, and what they were trying to shoot for is what Raj has already subscribed to a whole bunch of years ago. Trying to get to 1 billion people and helping them live to 100 years, and that was the essence of this White House thing the other night that I sit and listened, and I kind of didn't know, wow, which makes what we're going to do now so much more relevant uh,
Yeah.
and meaningful to people, that you can affect change. And the product, and I'm just one more thing, the byproduct of living the kind of lifestyle that Roger's going to talk about can be factored. I like to use myself as a poster boy.
Mm.
This thing up here is 77 years old, and this thing up here is functioning full throttle.
Yeah.
Why? Because I've done on my own some of the things that Roger's going to talk about. And you know what, folks, it does work. And some people will say, "Oh, it's genetics." Yeah, well, maybe 20%. The other 80% of this is a byproduct of what Raj is going to talk about. So I've done my official monologue here, and what a thrill for me. And Raj's Keep Fit Kingdom. I want to keep showing that because it's really important, and he's going to tell you all about it. So I'm done. Why don't you do a little bio, Raj, and then we'll kind of jump into stuff.
Absolutely. Well, Calvin, I'm so grateful to be here on your show, We the Species. It's such an interesting idea and concept, and I think it's very much needed nowadays. The whole ethos of Keep Fit Kingdom, well, the mission is to help 1 billion people reach 100 years old happily and healthily. And what we found over the last 7, 8 years is that there's lots of information out there in terms of, YouTube videos or books or, scholarly essays and, medical studies and so on. But there's something missing. There's a gap. The gap is, how do I apply the best of medical science and nutrition and all those things that are accepted to myself to benefit myself to the optimum. It's very confusing. There's a lot of conflicting information out there, and um, it's difficult because people will hear things from even authorities like doctors and university studies and so on, and they will follow those guidelines for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. If someone comes now with contrary information, they're going to be holding that bias because they've been following it for so long. And, whatever you're involved in, you get committed to, even subconsciously. Right. So it's very difficult to break patterns, even if it's in your own best interest. So what we do is we help people understand first and foremost, if they want to make a change in their health, why do they want to do that? What's the reason? Is it because you want to lose weight? Is it because you're lacking self-confidence? Is it because your posture is not so good? It's, you know, you're stooping, or you've had, you know, behaviors of sitting in a chair or a sofa where you've been slouching for years, and now your body's beginning to creak and warn you about things. You know, there's so many reasons why people want to keep a fit and healthy body. And we help people to, you know, we encourage people to look at all these different aspects and apply it to themselves, even in a small way, on a daily basis. We're very much into daily practices. We don't go too much in for endless theory after theory after theory without practicing anything, because that will end you nowhere. You know, you won't experience the benefit. You'll have mental indigestion, and and you won't necessarily benefit from anything. You know, you have the analysis of paralysis. So Keep Fit Kingdom is here to help people start to implement quality ideas straight away, right? Straight away, like today. Like, you read an article on Keep Fit Kingdom, and there's 1,500 articles,
Wow.
actually more. There's more than that, actually. And all of them have a theme where they really want to reach out to the reader and say, look, start this now, try this today. You know, just do small things now, right? And then you make it a habit. And if you think of the right things on a daily basis, the right thoughts, you compound them over time. As James Clear said in his book, Atomic Habits, he says, if you have the right habits, time will become your best friend.
Wow.
Because, yeah. But if you have the wrong habits, time becomes your worst enemy, because you compound the wrong ideas over time and you're losing on every front. So, you know, we very much value people's lives and their time. And we believe that everybody should make the very most of the time they have on this planet. So that's where the mission was born.
By the way, just brilliant, and it's so real, and even the sitting, and even the way your body gets as I get older, and the creaks and stuff, and but what you're saying is so relevant. So it's a huge order to reach 1 billion people, and get them to 100 years. How do you purport to do that? By the way, we also discussed this. It's not out of the realm for you to reach 1 billion people, because your message is life.
Mm.
It's life, and it's a quality of life. It's extending life. It's making life. You know, again, I like to look at myself as a poster boy. You know, at 77, I keep on, you know, teaching at the university a couple of years ago. I mean, but it's a function of what you're talking about. So, what are some of the ways you're going to accomplish this?
That's a great question. So it's all about, for example, when you're taught things in school, for example, you look back carefully to whatever curriculum you're in, whichever school you're in. You know, I went to school in London, a normal, ordinary school. And what I realized is that when I was a teenager, or, you know, in my early 20s, I realized that there should have been some things I was taught when I was 5. Because, you know, I went to nursery school, like a lot where people went to kindergarten when I was 4 years old. My mom said I was a bit of a handful, so she wanted me to, you know, go to outdoors and you know, interact and mingle and stuff. So I think I realized that there's a lot of things that should be taught to kids younger, but it's not being done. And why that is the case, well, you know, everybody could hazard a guess at that. But the point is that in terms of your physical body, in terms of the kind of exercises that work for you, not everybody's born to be a runner. Not everybody's born to be a swimmer. Not everybody can dance well. Not everybody, you know, can be a weightlifter. Not everybody's a gymnast. So that you've got to have a bit more of a bespoke, personalized way of finding out what is ideal for each type of person. So instead of just giving you a formula from a book and just follow that by rote, which I don't think works at all, you've got to take into account the individual. The individual comes into this world with strengths and weaknesses, but you want to emphasize the strengths, which are the positive side of things, which helps to build a positive narrative for the person. So with that confidence, they build on their strength, build on their strength, build on their strength, and that becomes a habit. They see themselves as a positive, useful, worthwhile, contributing person in society. And that's incredibly reinforcing. It just builds upon itself, as you know, like compound interest, just builds and builds and builds. So I think there needs to be a change in the way we are taught about health and the real value of health. Because as you know, health is not just about your physical body, it's also about the mind and your emotions and the quality of your inner self, you know, your inner life and
Mm.
how you deal with your mind and your emotions. Look at mental health nowadays. It's become such a rampant problem because we've neglected it for far too long. So there should be teachers who are more like wellness instructors in schools. That's what we believe.
Wow.
And they, yeah, wellness instructors. Like what you said earlier with the Montessori, that's a bit more of an enlightened approach. And we would definitely extend that further and train teachers who are adept at spotting the potential of children. That is absolutely key.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get that, and we love teaching that, we'll be on that all day long. That we see a child, what is their potential? What is their strength? Play to their strength, and they build momentum in that strength. And now you've got a wonderful person in society before they reach the age of 18. They're already equipped with everything they need
Wow.
to, worthwhile in society.
And at that level of reaching children, you're well on your way to the billion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're well on your way
Right.
to the billion.
Right.
So a quick overview of health, nutrition, motivation, and especially the nutrition thing. Like I said, I went to this White House conference 2 nights ago, commissioned by the White House here, on nutrition and
Yeah.
just how important it is. So, a quick overview, your overview of those.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, nutrition is such an amazing, subject. It's something where, people have their own personal biases and they're not really taught. Again, we come back to the subject of schooling. They're not necessarily taught like what is the best kind of nutrition. When I went to school, there definitely wasn't any emphasis on nutrition. You just like had bangers and mash, as we call it in London, sausages and mash and maybe some boiled peas or something, which was kind of uninspiring. But I think what needs to happen is people need to understand the effect of food chemicals when they're digested in your body. And if you pay attention to the kind of energy that's contained in food, you'll find that the food that's suited to humans is not an extreme meat diet and it's not an extreme vegan diet necessarily. It could be a composite of both. As you said, you're a flexitarian. I've been a vegetarian for over 25 years. And I can attest that, I used to eat the McDonald's. I used to drink the 2 glasses of wine with my meals every day because the doctor said it was okay. And, you know, I, I can attest from, personal experience that being a vegetarian has been the absolute best for me because my sleep was far better, much deeper and more refreshing. My skin became absolutely clear. My energy levels, instead of conking out after a 15-hour day, I can go 18 hours a day, you know, for weeks on end. Busy days. I do my workouts, I do my coaching, I do my training, I do my studying, and there's so much more energy because your system works optimally. You're not constipated. When you're a vegetarian, you have more fiber in your diet. So your body works a lot more regularly. And because you're not putting big amounts of red meat in your diet, your body operates a lot more fluidly, quickly, and even if I can use the word mercurially, because your mind also becomes a lot more lively, as you've also discussed, Calvin. Yeah, that's why you're still on full throttle at your mid
77.
77, your late 70s, and still full throttle, very mercurial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
full throttle. And I attribute it to it's funny, I would have become a full-blown vegan, gone into more veganism. I had to compromise and become a flexitarian because of political pressures from my wife and my mother, who didn't want to cook separately, and my wife said no, so we compromised, and I became a flexitarian. Um, uh, just a couple of quick more comments on veganism
Mhm.
and that movement. Uh, um,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's got there's so many angles to it. You can go at it from a health perspective. We have lots of interns who intern at Keep Fit Kingdom, students who study nutrition, psychology, sports psychology, many various things. And a lot of the women, a lot of the girls, they have opted to be vegan, and they've been vegan for a few years. And we always ask them, what have the benefits been compared to when you did used to eat McDonald's and everything else, and now being a vegan? And they say, well, their energy is better, their PMS symptoms are less, their headaches are less, their skin is a lot more clearer, and it stays that way for longer. But the environmental aspect and the ethical aspect, we don't want to harm animals. We don't want to create more problems for the ozone and all these gases and the way animals are treated. It does smite your conscience somewhat when you go to a butcher and you see all these dead animals. It's
correct,
like,
correct.
and then when you hear all the stories about fast food restaurants using all these animals and mixing all their organs together to create kebabs or whatever. I mean, you just it turns your stomach in many ways. So I think the more people just know the truth about things, whether you learn it from documentaries or you learn it from Keep Fit Kingdom or you learn it from other eminent doctors in the field who are definitely promoting more of a plant-based diet. Um, Best thing you can do is experiment on yourself. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. Take it in stages and analyze and write and document your
Okay.
benefits. Yeah. And if you don't like it, go back to whatever you did.
I
You know,
like that.
there's no harm in trying.
You said energy. Uh, my lifestyle has given me tremendous amounts of energy. Um, I do take some supplements, um, uh, because the world's not perfect. But the energy that I've felt and the energy that I have, I work out every other day, a couple of hours a day. Um, I used to go to the gym 3 times a week, but the pandemic kind of. But you're so right, Raj. The energy I felt, it's so noticeable.
Mm.
The energy that I have, and actually sometimes it gets too much. It's 2 o'clock in the morning here, and I'm still playing around on my computer.
Yeah.
So moving on, uh, you wrote and this I know nothing about. It fascinates me how squats can change your life. And I want to really talk about that because that's something that's not in my world. Uh,
Mhm.
um, I'm looking here at my notes. Overcoming illnesses, flu, viruses, aches, and pains. And by the way, this is on Amazon, and of course, I'll have all this information for people embedded into the video. And so, talk about this whole thing about squats.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. When I was a teenager, I was quite curious, like a lot of people. I would question things like what I'm being taught in school, what I'm reading in books, and I spent a lot of my time going through stuff in my own personal way. And I also liked films, as you do as a kid. You watch Superman, you see, all these amazing superheroes and stuff. And I got to thinking that, why do people like superheroes so much? Why do people love to, go in their millions all over the world to watch a superhero film, that's put out by Marvel or DC or whoever? And I believe the reason is that we all know we have something of a superhero in us. That's how we're able to relate to these characters because deep down we want them to win because we want to win. We all have something of a hero in us. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. And because of that, I just took that inspiration a little bit further and thought, well, we're all human beings. We all want to do good in the world. We all want to be happy. So that means you should be positive, right? You should have, a positive outlook. You should be optimistic rather than pessimistic. You should be hopeful rather than despondent. You should be more elated than depressed, for example. So yeah, I started reading anatomy books, and they were very interesting. Very interesting diagrams, very scientific explanations about the bones and the joints, and the all that kind of thing. But then I thought, well, it's all very well being in the book and being on the TV or being in the film and the cinema, but how do I apply that to myself? How do I imbibe that uh, knowledge or that result into me? So I started studying physiology, but just by reading books from the library, just by reading magazines, all types of health magazines, nutrition magazines. We used to have the old encyclopedias. You get those Britannica encyclopedias, and it will have
Wow.
a yeah.
I didn't think you were that old.
Well, I don't look it because of the vegetarianism and all the breathing exercises, which I'll tell you about. But I started experimenting with exercises in the gym with my colleagues and buddies who like to train. They stopped, but I still wanted to carry on. And I started studying squats because I wanted to know what was the single most demanding exercise that the body could perform. So there's a running kind of commentary on this. If you talk to anyone in the gym, someone who loves the bench press will say, well, it's the bench press which is the most demanding exercise for the body. Another person might say, oh no, it's the deadlift because you can pick up loads of weight from the ground, right? Then other people will say, well, no, it's squats because it puts the most amount of pressure on your body, and you have to use your hip, you have to use your lower back, you have to use your legs, your quadriceps, which are the most powerful muscles in your body, in the human body. So when I started studying squats, I started doing weighted squats with a barbell. I
Mm-hmm.
started doing squats with machines in the gym, and I did body weight squats as well. And what I found was that after about 8 months to a year, maybe a year and a half, I started not to get sick anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, where people were getting the usual virus. In the UK, in London, we always have this horrible cold, the flu virus that comes around in October. And it always used to hit me badly. For 10 days, 2 weeks, I couldn't hear, my ears were bunged up, my throat was sore, my nose was stuffy. It would take me 2 weeks to recover from a flu.
Wow.
And as the years went by, with this happening year after year, maybe twice a year, probably maximum, I started thinking, well, this is too long. It's taking too much out of my life, isn't it? When I die, do I really want to say having a flu took up, 50 weeks of my life? Like that was too much for me,
Mm.
you know? So I thought, well, there's got to be a way around this. There's got to be something you can do. So that's when I started experimenting with squats. And then I realized that, um, you know, aches and pains that I used to have, like everybody else, they disappeared. Colds and flus, I haven't had a cold and a flu for years. I haven't been to the doctor for over 9, 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, and even the receptionist called me up from my doctor's office and said, "You're not on the register. You need to sign up." I said, "Well, I don't need to because I don't need to see a doctor."
Mm.
But I did sign up anyway, just to keep them happy. But luckily, I still don't need to go. Yeah, so that's why I thought if people would do squats, as it's the most single demanding exercise the body can do, then just imagine how much flus, colds, viruses, diseases, and so on, they could prevent. So that's what impelled me to write this book because I thought, everybody should know this. It's not taught in school. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not taught in school. And Rob Van Dam, as you can see on the cover there,
Yes.
yeah, he's a WWE wrestler, a Hall of Famer. He said to me and our team, he says, I completely agree with you that squats has helped him
Mm.
generate so much health and energy. And the stretching techniques he did for his legs, stretching the hamstrings and that kind of thing, allowed him to do all those crazy kicks that he could do, like jump from one side of the ring and hit an opponent on the other side of the ring because of the length of his hamstrings. And he attributes squats to being one of the exercises that has helped him stay in the game for like
Mm.
30 years without injuries, where everybody else gets injured, he doesn't. So,
Quick
yeah,
question about squats. A personal question,
yeah.
because I'm going to order this because I'm intrigued. Um, if you have some back issues, that's okay. Um, you can still do your squats.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got to be, you've got to be intelligent about it. You've got to take a few moments to feel, when you do a body weight squat, just feel how your body is. Do you feel pain in your calves, in your knees, in your back, in your, anywhere?
Okay.
If you don't, just do it nice and slowly. You can get massive benefit from taking 1 minute to do one squat as well.
Wow.
30 seconds down, 30 seconds up. I sometimes take 10 minutes to do one squat
Wow.
because I stage it very slowly to build my legs, my calves, my cardiovascular system. You're burning, of course, your muscles are burning like anything, but it's such an amazing all body workout just doing one squat for 10 minutes or even 5 minutes. So these micro workouts, as we call them, micro squat workouts, I can guarantee in 90, probably 95% of cases, people can diminish huge amounts of pain and problems with their bodies by squatting for 5 to 10 minutes per day.
Wow.
Just body weight squats, not even necessarily with weights.
Okay. Wow. By the way, in exactly 2 hours from now, I'm going to be squatting upstairs.
Okay,
No, I'm serious. I'll keep you posted. Uh,
please.
I'm so no, I'm so intrigued by this. Um, Again, Squats for Life, and on Amazon. Uh, Fascinating. Before we go on, just something off topic. Uh, it's a one-word answer. You don't have to answer, or you can answer with a couple. I find it an intriguing question. So here goes. It's a Calvin question. Excluding family or friends, somebody living or dead you'd like to spend a day with.
Bruce Lee. Yeah.
Yep, I saw that in your thing here. I sort of kind of knew the answer that enough said. That's great. Great answer. Uh, what a fascinating historical personality uh, he was. Just fascinating beyond. Anyway, um, so
Calvin, can I add a couple of bits of narrative to that?
yeah,
Or
please,
yeah,
please.
I think a lot of people, they admire Bruce Lee for his screen presence, for his, undoubted martial arts prowess. Uh, I think his energy was, off the charts, and that's what's made him so memorable. Because people watch a film with Bruce Lee, they could almost think, well, he's still alive because he got so much energy. His presence burst through the screen, literally, with his sound effects and his physical presence. But he was also an incredibly astute student of life, of philosophy. If you want to say, the Tao or spirituality and the human body. He was obsessed with the human body in terms of how it operates and how it works and how to get the most out of it. So I think he was a great teacher as well, and very inspired and very inspiring. So that's why I chose Bruce.
Okay. Makes sense. He's always been a fascinating personality for me. I never understood a lot of it, but just fascinating. You already touched on this. Uh, if there's anything other, what does anything else you want to add? But it's such a key thing as far as teaching in schools. You already really kind of said that. Is there anything? I mean, what should be taught regarding health and wellness? But you touched about diet and not McDonald's and teaching kids the right kind of thing. Anything else to add to that?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think everybody, whether you have children or you don't, or everybody was a child at some point. And I think if a person's in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and they look back and think, if I had known this when I was 10, how would I be now? If I had, yeah, if I had known about posture, about breathing, about muscles and
Oh,
being able how to maximize your muscle strength, which are all very, very useful things in life. If you want to go mountain climbing, if you want to go biking, if you want to do anything, you need a good, sound body that doesn't cause you problems. So if people would say, what do I wish I knew when I was 10 that I would have carried forward as a habit to where I'm now as a 30 or 40-year-old parent who's now, having kids running them dizzy, running around, they can't keep up with them, right? They wish they had better cardiovascular. They wish they had cycled for 3 or 4 miles a day every day without fail. They wish they did yoga, or they wish they did stretching so they could manage to, do the daily tasks without any issues or pains in the back or um, problems with the joints. So I think proper physiology, proper exercise, like more instead of intense training like football training. I think Tai Chi style exercises, which makes you more aware of your entire body,
mm-hmm.
your joints, your muscles, how everything's working and flowing. I think this is more beneficial as a basis for everybody. Because you can become aware of yourself and you're not rushing things without using your mind. You need to understand what your mind is doing in your body to fully appreciate the gift of a human body, right? But that's not taught in school.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, yeah. There's so many initiatives. Like I said, I participated in this White House thing, and they want to change food and nutrition and health and One Health initiative. Uh, but you just hit the nail on the head. And again, I repeat, if we can get the kids on this way, and I ain't no expert, you are, I'm not, but we're well on our way to getting a billion people healthy. If you get to these young people and make it part of their lives, uh, sitting and talking to somebody in an office for 5 minutes, one at a time, ain't going to cut it. You got to get these people when they're young to set them on the right uh, pathway. So just great. It's so relevant, and that's what really amazed me when I started to digest this before we went on air. What I did 2 nights ago, and how it pertains to you, and how it's the future, the species future.
Yeah, I agree. If I can add something, it's an interesting idea, an interesting thought that I think it's very inspiring to think that, for the last 20, 30 years in the school system, we've been fed a diet of books and facts and data. But when you leave school, those things don't actually help you much because you can Google those things. Why should you spend your precious life learning things that you could Google afterwards?
Correct.
You should rather be focusing on the things that are needed in life, like focus, concentration, courage, being positive, and encouraging others. These are lifelong skills that you would never regret knowing.
And they're not taught.
It's not taught.
They're not taught. Wow.
It's not taught.
It's so interesting. All the time and energy that is wasted on things that they could just pick up and learn and Google. But you're talking about setting them straight on a pathway of the correct living.
Yes.
That's going to get them to 100 years.
Calvin, the thing is, for your channel, this is extremely relevant. What we're really trying to say here, for we the species and everybody that hears this, it's we don't want to just have statistics and books. We need role models. We need heroes as teachers who are heroes. We need mentors. We need guides who are living embodiments of these values and these qualities. Only then can you give what you have. You can't give anything if you don't have it yourself.
I'm writing this down. What a profound thing you just said. We need heroes
in school.
Yeah. In school. Yep. School. We need heroes in school, not Wonder Woman and Superman, but we need real life heroes. Maybe LeBron James to come down and talk about nutrition. He's a hero.
Yeah.
We need that. We do. My head is swimming. I love this stuff. It's so because that's what my life has been about lately. So I want to spit this out the right way. You have helped people overcome relationship blocks, limitations, and problems associated with lack of direction and purpose, and you even help people with problems like autism and narcolepsy.
Right.
So how do you achieve that?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. I've been a relationships coach for over 12 years, and mostly dealing with women's relationship problems. It's a fascinating field once you understand certain patterns that occur again and again. I don't think there's any relationship problem that I couldn't solve, in all humility, because I've seen the patterns occur thousands and thousands of times. And women are more open to talk about relationship issues. Men, I think they're getting there a little bit. It's, things are changing slowly, but men still have this very alpha male kind of, it's just feelings and emotions. It's not important. I'm a man. I can handle it with aggression or with force, but that doesn't work. That doesn't work. You need to understand emotion as much as you understand logic. And men tend to be more logical, straight line thinking, while women are more kind of circuitous and kind of go around things. So I've been a relationship coach, and it also involves a lot of helping women to see their maps and patterns of how they understand relationships. And also, it's not, again, it's another thing that's not taught in school, how to be confident, how to have self-confidence with a man, when you're starting out. Maybe you're shy, maybe you have your own bad habits, maybe you don't feel worthy. It's one of those ongoing lifelong issues. However, if you're taught self-confidence and you know your worth and you know your value, you can have amazing conversations with men around, what do you want to do in your life? What are your goals? What are your dreams? What do you value the most? Those kind of conversations get people excited and also very calm because it takes time to achieve anything significant. So if you say you have a dream and a guy says he wants to be, a teacher, and a woman says she wants to be a nurse, well, that's a great conversation because it takes time to achieve those things. And the person you develop on the way, in the process of doing that, is going to be very telling in your relationship day to day. Oh, I thought you wanted to be a nurse. Well, I changed my mind. Okay, we need to chat. The guy says, or the woman says, I thought you wanted to be an engineer or a movie producer. Yeah, well, I'm not sure now. Okay, let's sit down. Let's have a chat. We need to get the direction back on track. Right? We need to understand our trajectory of where we're going. And that, when you see that being proved day in, day out, people excited about their direction, that's going to form a much stronger basis for a quality relationship. And that's what I found in dealing with thousands of women, that they need to get that a bit more, clear. Yeah. So knowing all this kind of knowledge, I've been able to apply the motivational aspects and of helping transform women's minds to help people overcome more serious problems. For example, I've been able to apply this to drug addiction. I've been able to apply this to alcoholism, people who have toxic relationships, people who have, some quite significant or even serious illnesses or diseases. And as you mentioned, autism and narcolepsy, they've been diagnosed clinically by doctors that, I'm sorry, you have this narcolepsy or you have this autism. And a patient would ask, well, how long will I have to have that for? The doctor says, oh, no, you've got it for the rest of your life. There's nothing you can do about it. And you're like, well, so what do I do? Oh, you have to take this medication, antidepressant or this medicine. For how long? Well, most people it'll be 20, 30 years. And you're like, really? Is there no other option? Doctor says, well, that's how it is. A lot of people just accept it. And that's their life. They have accepted the label. The medicine is questionable enough, but the label, I am now autistic, I have narcolepsy, and you're thinking that for years and years and years. Oh, I thought I was narcoleptic. I thought I was autistic because I kept repeating it to myself, and that became a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you see, it's not just what the doctor says, it's also what you decide about yourself. That's even more important. So by using these methods, I've been able to help people overcome autism, the negative aspects of autism. I mean, even Elon Musk is autistic, but he uses it in a very, positive way.
Correct.
A
lot of people don't know that,
yeah.
but he is.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. Wow. I have to tell you what I love taking theory, and I've been a big fan of taking theory and putting it into practical applications. And why I didn't do well in school is I battled all the time with theory, and I didn't see the practical side of things. But you just said something, Raj, um, about self-confidence for a guy growing up in elementary school, high school, and instilling self-confidence. I'm a living example of that, and I still suffer from the fact that, and it's not that I don't blame my parents. They were busy with my two sisters, and they were first-time parents, and it was the 50s. So there was no science, there was no nothing. But I was not given any kind of elements of self-confidence, and it's still with me today. I've never been able to fully shake. I'm better now, in who I am, but because I didn't have that element which you teach and work with, for 60 years I've lived with elements of a lack of self confidence. Um, it's funny. I was a very good basketball player, really, really good, and I could have gone further than I did, and almost had a shot at trying out for the Chicago Bulls. It's the whole long story. But bottom line is some years, not too many years ago, I was at an event and when my childhood idol, who played for my high school, became an All-American. His name was Chris, and he played pro ball, and
Oh,
and I had no self confidence, so I really couldn't play high school basketball. I just played around in the playground. But we were at this event, and Chris came over to me, and he knew me. He was a few years older than me, and he came over to me, and he said a few years ago, "Hey, Calvin, how come you never played for the high school? You were really, really good."
mm,
And I said to him, "Why couldn't you have told me that 60 years ago?"
wow. Yeah. Yeah.
And if I would have heard that 60 years ago, it would have changed. Interesting. But it's what you said, Raj. It's like, wow. Um, um, we got to do a little promo here. If people are interested, they can email you for more information.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to get in touch is to email info@keepfitkingdom.com.
Fine.
They can also yeah, they can also private message on Twitter, which is the handle, the tag is at
Okay.
keepfitkingdom, um, Facebook, and the usual outlets. And yeah, we're all over the internet.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I hope to promote all this stuff, because by the way, the thing you said about self confidence was like somebody took a hammer and it just hit me over the head. It's like, the revelation. Wow. And I love when I hear things that really mean something, and
Yeah.
that really meant something, what you said, because like I said, I suffer from that today. I'm better. But anyway,
Yeah.
next, as we kind of move along here, you did a special study with 50 people, on breathing. Uh,
Yes.
and you have a team that kind of developed. So, with the right kind of breathing, you've got increased energy and mental stuff. And I'll talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. If I could just backtrack just a step,
Yeah.
people ask us, do your methods apply just it's a funny question. Like, do your methods just apply to English people? Because we'll say, well, Keep Fit Kingdom, it's the idea of the kingdom. So we don't want to exclude anyone, whether you're from America, whether you're
I
from Canada, Australia, Asia, Europe. We're happy to talk to anyone because our mission is to help raise
Yes.
elevate the level of health and wellness for the world. So
That was one of my original questions. People here, across the pond, can certainly partake and should, and really should. This study, I mean, was statistically a limited study, but you found people really with the right kind of breathing.
yes, yes, our team we originated a very let's say unique breathing technique, which can be done by anyone as long as they don't have any serious health conditions which affect the lungs, or any of their nasal passages. But literally anyone can do it from any age. And from the 50 people that did the study, everybody has reported unanimous positive results. And we're talking results to do with mental calmness, emotional wellness, stability, focus, concentration, less irritability, not being affected by other people, being more creative within yourself, having more positive energy. There was one of the participants said, "I find it difficult to be negative when I do this technique."
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, and we've got lots of testimonials on the website, which people can go. If they go to the tab, it says "free wellness technique"
Okay.
or "free energy boost."
So I'll
Yeah,
have down for people to see.
sure, sure.
Um, Finally, you have another book coming out in the fall.
Yes, from the findings from the breath work study,
Okay.
the breathing study, it's going to be a small book just focused on that and
Okay.
give results about the study and the kind of results that have been achieved.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh, by the way, we could talk for hours. We did even before because I'm such a believer in what you do because I live it, part of it.
yeah, yeah.
And I'll be squatting later. Uh, so I'll have all this information for folks to see and digest and promote. And I'm officially inviting you back. You can come back anytime because I sit in this chair, 15 hours a day, and I do exercise. And I actually wore out the chair. Literally, it's all the arms are all worn out. I have a towel covering my arms. Uh, um, but I am so grateful having met you and listened to you because I subscribe so much to your words and I believe that and so come back anytime, any kind of content. Raj, I can't thank you enough for your
Yeah.
passion and time.
Calvin, it's been a pleasure being on your very unique show, We the
Thank
Species.
you.
So thank you for having me.